Hi, I'm Dr. Hebert from Loyola University in New Orleans. I hope to give you a few pointers on how to interpret and play the LMEA All-State Material Set 3, which is 16 and 23. First of all, let's look at 16. The markings, the Italian markings, you have Allegretto, and then on the bottom of the first measure we have Dulce. It's a piano volume. Allegretto would be a moderately quick tempo, not as fast as Allegro, a moderate walk, let's say. And of course the Dulce would be very, very smooth. You don't want to play staccato on any of these pieces. Now notice that it starts off piano and it goes on quite a ways until actually measure 9 at piano. But we must try to do something music-wise because that's the most important thing. I suggest having each one of the 3/16ths lead to the 8th note. Now that's the first 6 measures. If you look at measure 14, it's the exact same thing. So you've just practiced 11 to 12 measures. And if you look all the way down to the bottom of the page, the first 2 measures on that line are exactly like the first 2 measures of the entire piece. Now the only dynamic that a written error is starting in measure 9, where we have some crescendos, piano, crescendo, etc., etc. So here's measure 9. Notice in measure 13, I put a retard. The reason for that, in measure 14, you have a tempo 1. Well, there must be a reason why the composer is reminding you that he wants the original tempo. So there should be a retard the measure before. Now the rhythms are pretty consistent. It looks like all of them. The notes change, but it's all 3/16ths followed by an 8th. Until we get down to measure 22. 22 is a run of 16th notes, but what's difficult about it is that you have a whole gang of accidentals. So you should practice this to where it almost becomes memorized and just use the music as a guide. So here's measure 22. Okay, those are all the accidentals that are between measure 22 and 25. For the last 2 measures, we have to be careful of that low E at the end. So I'll play the last 2 measures for you. Now, if you are playing a B-flat tuba, that last note can either be played with 4 and 1 or 4 and 2. 4 and 1 has a tendency to be a little bit under pitch, however 4 and 2 is a little bit above, so it's going to be up to you which one is better in tune. If you are playing a B-flat tuba with only 3 valves, this presents a problem because 1 and 3 and 1, 2, and 3 are always extremely sharp. My suggestion is to pull the 3rd valve slot out about 1.5 inches. That will bring that low 1 and 3 or 1, 2, and 3 combination better in tune. It won't be perfectly in tune, but it'll be a little closer to the intonation. So I hope these few hints will help you. And when you practice this, practice the last 1/3, and then practice the last 2/3, then start from the top and practice straight down. Too many times we start at the beginning of a piece, for some reason we stop, and then where do we start? At the beginning of the piece again. By starting and practicing the ending, you will find that through mental fatigue or endurance, you'll be becoming a little more familiar with that, and it'll be less stressful when you get near the end of the piece. So remember, backwards, last 1/3, last 2/3, last entire piece. This etude is number 23 from the Blazhevich studies. First of all, let's look at the markings, the Italian markings that the composer has given you. Andante sostenuto. That's a leisure walking pace. It's a slow tempo. Sostenuto would mean very sustained. And also notice it has dolce, which is in a singing, smooth manner. The dynamic level here is piano. As a matter of fact, throughout this entire piece, it's all piano. But that doesn't mean we play at all one level. We have to do some phrasing, which I hope to demonstrate. So here are the first 3 measures of exercise number 23. Now, if you'll notice, at measure 16, it is the exact same thing. Some variation on rhythms, but basically the same piece. Now notice I'm trying to have all the 8th notes lead to the dotted quarters. Let me caution you, when a quarter note is tied to an 8th note, get off that 8th note, because if not, you're going to start slowing your tempo down each time. Now let's look at measure 14. Measure 14 goes into the tempo 1, measure 16. However, I do make a retard, because why would they put tempo 1 when it's the same tempo we're coming from? So here is measure 14. So you notice the exact same thing as we started from the beginning. Now let's go down to the bottom of the page. We have a retard and then a meno mosso, which means a slower tempo. Okay? So here's measure 26. Now, if you were playing a B-flat instrument, I would suggest that low D played with a 3rd valve. 1 and 2 have a tendency to be a little sharp, so if we play with the 3rd valve, it will come down a little bit and be better in tune. Now, in practicing this, I would suggest doing it in thirds. Take the last 3 lines. Start at measure 20, practice those 3 lines until you feel real comfortable with them. Then maybe go up to measure 16, tempo 1. Start from there and practice those all the way down. Now you've just practiced the last 3 measures twice and the tempo 1 once. Then you can go back up to the top, practice the entire piece. We naturally have a tendency when we make a mistake or we start from the beginning, we stop, and where do we restart? At the beginning again. So we wind up playing the beginning of these pieces, we know them well, but when we get to the end of the piece, where it's a little bit different, that's where most of the mistakes will happen. So hopefully you will practice, and good luck.